Is this the year that Georgia finally beats Alabama? They've got a golden opportunity. They're actually favored in the game. These are the 5 reasons why Georgia will win if they do, in fact, win. And we start with number 5. That is the red zone defense. The red zone defense for Georgia this season has been really, really good. They've been one of the best in the country. You can look at all kinds of stats for Georgia to see how good they are statistically in the red zone. They're number 1 in the country just in terms of scoring. The opposing team only scores about 55% of the time. That means a team gets in the red zone and about half the time they don't even score. I mean, that is unbelievable. They've only allowed teams to get into the red zone 22 times. 22 times all year. So it's hard to get in the red zone, but then when you do, it's very tough to score. Only giving up 6 touchdowns all season in the red zone. They have been just unbelievable in the red zone. And this Georgia defense just overall has been unbelievable. But I think that's a big reason why they have a great shot to win this game. Alabama, because of their struggles on the offensive line, if they get down inside the 10-yard line, they're not going to be able to just run it in. This is not one of those old Alabama teams that's able to impose their will in the run game. So I think Georgia will have a great day in the red zone. I think they will have a good shot to hold Alabama to several field goals instead of touchdowns. So that red zone defense, a huge reason why Georgia could come away with a win in Atlanta. Number 4 is the offensive line for Georgia. This was kind of a question mark coming into the year. Thought that this might be one of the weaker areas of the team, but they played really well, actually. They had some injuries and were able to overcome that, and I think it just speaks to the depth of this team. That could be one of the reasons why they win this game is depth. I think Georgia is deeper than Alabama, and that's something that a few years ago you wouldn't say, but this Georgia team, Kirby Smart has recruited so well, and they have been able to play so many players. Their depth is unbelievable. With this offensive line, if you look at the run game, they're getting 5.38 yards per carry, which is really good, one of the best in the country. And they're number 2 in the country in sacks allowed. They've only given up 8 sacks all season. So a great pass rush from Alabama against a great offensive line for Georgia. That'll be a big key and probably the determining factor on that side of the ball as far as what Georgia can do offensively, because if they do give up some sacks, that'll be tough for them. But if they're able to run the football, stay ahead of the chains, I mean, they're probably not going to average 5 yards per carry in this game, but if they can average 4 or 3.5 and then don't give up sacks on third downs, Georgia will be in great shape offensively. But this offensive line has really played well this season, a big reason why Georgia is in the position that they're in. And I think, the offensive line is always overlooked, but you have to give a lot of credit to this Georgia offensive line for what they've been able to do really all season long. Number 3 for Georgia, it's the offensive weapons. I just talked about depth a second ago, talked about how Georgia's probably a deeper team than Alabama. And it's across the board, but you look at what they've been able to do on offense with the skill positions. I mean, it's unbelievable how deep they are, how many weapons they have. You can forget keying in on one guy because it's such a balanced attack. They don't have a Heisman candidate on offense, but they've got so many really good players. You look at Zamir White, 691 yards this season. James Cook, 581 yards. Kenny McIntosh and Kendall Milton, both over 200 yards rushing. They've been spreading it around on the ground, but really it's the passing game where they have had a ton of success. Brock Bowers is actually their leading receiver, and you look at the numbers, you say, well, their top 2 receivers, 652 yards, 395 yards. Those aren't great numbers. They don't have any great. It's because they spread the ball around. Brock Bowers has been. He's probably the best tight end in the country this year as a true freshman. He's been unbelievable. And how about Ladd McConkey? Where'd he come from? No one saw him coming. Who would have thought? I mean, no one would have thought before the season that these would be the top 2 receivers on this team. Adonai Mitchell has been good for them as well. Jermaine Burton only has 20 catches for 376 yards, but he's probably their best receiver. And they just haven't had to use him a lot, haven't had to go to him a lot. We know Georgia's got the starters on the bench in the second half in most of these games. So they've just got so many weapons. Darnell Washington, a guy that's battled some injuries, but he's a talented player, and the list goes on. They've got guys that have been banged up that if they can play in this game can contribute, and a big one is George Pickens. George Pickens is back. He played against Georgia Tech. I think he had maybe like one catch, didn't really do a whole lot. But you add George Pickens along with Jermaine Burton, that combo at wide receiver is special. I mean, that is a really good 1-2 punch at wide receiver. And then you add in Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington at tight end. I mean, this team has got weapons all over the place, and that's how you can open things up for a Ladd McConkey. Look at what he's done this year. You got to stay on him as well, a guy that can make big plays through the air. So, I mean, this offense just has so many weapons. I know Alabama's defense is really good this year, but I think they're going to have a hard time slowing down all of these weapons. You cannot key on one guy, and I think Georgia has a chance to really exploit this Alabama defense. I think they're going to surprise some people. When we talk about Georgia, everyone thinks, well, their offense is not very good. They'll probably struggle to score in this game. I think this offense might surprise some people. If they can stay ahead of the chains, if they can run the football, that's going to be first and foremost. And you think they're not going to be able to throw it, just watch. Stetson Bennett has been better than I think people give him credit for this season. Plus, he can use his legs. And so I think they're going to surprise some people with what they do on offense. But number 2 is actually JT Daniels, not Stetson Bennett. JT Daniels might not play in this game. He may have absolutely no impact on this game. But he's the ace in the hole. You look at what Alabama did to Georgia when they brought in Tua Tagovailoa, and then they brought in Jalen Hurts. You've got this guy, a really talented quarterback in your back pocket. So if Stetson Bennett's not getting it done, if the offense is struggling, you can go to JT Daniels. He's proven that he can throw the football with the best of them. This passing offense, and maybe they're just saving him. I think a lot of Georgia fans think that they're just saving JT Daniels just because they haven't had to use him. But if they need to go to him, if you need a spark, you've got JT Daniels sitting on the bench, and Georgia could pull an Alabama in this game, switch up their quarterback, and it could be JT Daniels that leads Georgia to the victory. And also, I think Alabama does have to prepare for him just a little bit. They have to know that it's possible he could come in this game. And so I think he's the X factor here. Georgia may not need him. They may be just way better than Alabama. This game may not be close at all. But if it's close, if the offense is struggling, watch for them to possibly go to JT Daniels in this game, and he could have a huge impact. But the number one reason why Georgia will win this game, it's the front seven. The front seven for Georgia. I mean, it's all about the front seven for Georgia versus the offensive line for Alabama. And if you watch football all season, the advantage goes clearly to Georgia in this matchup. Alabama's offensive line has really struggled, and Georgia's got the best front seven in college football. I don't think that that's really even a debate. I think they are clearly the best in the country. They're averaging 3.42 sacks per game, which is 5th in the country. Alabama gives up 3 sacks a game, which is 112th. That just shows you where they've struggled. Georgia only gives up 2.49 yards per carry on the ground. I don't expect Alabama to be able to run the football a whole lot in this game. Bryce Young is going to have to throw it, and when he throws it, is he going to have time? That's the question. As good as this Alabama offense is, as good as these receivers are, if Bryce Young can't throw the football, if he doesn't have any time to throw it, they're not going to do much in this game. And I think that's why there's a potential, this game's not even close, that Georgia could win by a lot. But give Nick Saban, he'll be prepared. They'll have some things ready. They'll make some adjustments, and who knows, maybe they're able to slow down this pass rush, this front seven of Georgia. Maybe they're able to put some wrinkles in on this offense and catch Georgia off guard. Who knows? It's going to be tough, though. I think Georgia is favored for a reason, and if they do, in fact, win this game, the number one reason will be because of their front seven and the struggles on the Alabama offensive line.